Okay, so check it out. A lot of people have been putting up videos saying that, oh, it's dead, you know, all this shit's dead. All right, look, man. There's a lot of people putting out videos like this, and a lot of people want me to react to this video or react to that video. And look, man, I don't have time to react to every single fucking video about the game's population falling right now. You know why that is? I played this game from the Stone Age, okay? This happens literally every single fucking expansion, man.
It does. It does.
Happens literally every single fucking expansion, okay? Every single expansion, at the very last patch, people don't give a shit anymore. This happens every expansion.
However, if you look at the graph right here, the green segment, and by the way, this graph was based on achievement data. People that got an achievement in the beginning and people that were continuing to play is in green, and blue is the new players. So red is the people that got the achievement during the segment that they've measured, segment of time. And if you look at Endwalker, you might notice that the fall off is more significant. Just ignore the last bar, but you'll see the fall off is more significant in Endwalker compared to the other expansions. That is the major difference we're seeing here. Yes, there's fall off later on. What happened to Shadowbringers, some people might describe as unnatural. Shadowbringers had some powers that some might describe as unnatural. But so we expected there to be some fall off after the COVID thing. But I guess the real discussion is around, is this amount of fall off normal? And yes, we all know that this thing comes in cycles, it comes in waves. And as we get closer to Dawn Trail, this thing's going to go right back up again. See, we got a little smiley face here, we got a little smiley face there. So no need to panic too much. It is normal to see the cycle and the waves of people coming and going.
Realm Reborn happened in Heaven's Ward, happened in Stormblood, happened in Endwalker, or Shadowbringers, happened in Endwalker.
But the trend is still generally up. The trend is still going up. I bet that's what he's about to say.
Bro, let me tell you this. If the game is going to survive through COVID and drought and all that shit, this game is not going anywhere, okay? Because that gap between Shiva and the next patch was fucking massive. All of the shit that people are saying, I've already said years and years ago, man. I was actually talking with Arthurs about this earlier today. I don't think people suffer from burnout from this game. A majority of people that say that they're burnt out from the game, I don't think that they're burnt out. I think that they're fucking bored. And you know why? The amount of repeatable shit that you can do is very minimal. And there's not...
That's what I've been saying. This is what I've been saying. This is the whole thing I've been saying the whole time.
Very many different things, okay? Take the raid tiers, for example.
That's exactly
Don't get me wrong. I love the party finder. I love the party finder, but you can only do the party finder so much. Burnout is when you're just fucking completely done. Okay, now this game, there's not enough to do in the game that will ever make anybody feel that way. So I really feel like that people are confusing burnout with boredom. You're just fucking bored, man. That's what it is. It's not burnout. It's not, oh, I need to take a break for my mental. No. It's you're fucking bored out of your fucking mind, man. You should go play Ion. You want to go play a shit ass game?
Oh my God. This is what I mentioned in my video. I felt like sometimes people say that they're burnt out because it's easier to say than to share the specific feelings about stuff that they weren't as happy with in the game this time, because it's less taboo to say, well, it's actually on me, it's my thing, like I need a break, than to point out issues that you might see with the game because the community reacts so poorly to anyone trying to share those opinions. So it's just easier a lot of times. So, oh, well, it's not the game, it's not you, it's me type of situation. And in my video, I said, you know, burnout in the context of Final Fantasy 14, like a lot of times we think of burnout as, oh, you're just going so hard, so fast, and so hot, and you just can't keep burning it all up anymore because you just put so hard, you just can't take it anymore, you needed a break. But really, it feels more like how burnout is seen in the car world, where you're sitting in the car and you're actually not going anywhere. Like, the wheels are spinning, but you are not moving. You are stationary, and maybe you would like to go somewhere, but you're not at the moment. You're burning out in one spot.
you can burn out in, go play Ion. Every single day, minimum 5 hours. If you want to do all your dailies, every single day, minimum 5 hours. This game, you don't have to log on. How the fuck do you get burnout from a game that you don't even have to log on to? This game is not a burnout game. Whenever people are like, man, I'm just burnt out, I'm like, of what?
It never
of
was.
What? What is the overwhelming amount of things that you have to do that you actually get burnt out from? So like, now,
Okay. Counterpoint though, Zeems is a really, really good player. And so for him, stuff that maybe wouldn't take as long, take a really long time for someone who is worse at the game. I don't know, certain raids might be significantly harder and more psychologically damaging for someone, you know, not me specifically, but someone exactly like me could have a way worse time doing stuff that he seems to just breeze through. That's just a counterpoint, but in general, he's right. The FF14 has never been a burnout game. It was never meant to be a game that's meant to just suck up all your time. I don't ever want it to be that. I don't think any of us ever wanted to actually be that. We just want a little bit more to do.
when people say they're burnout, I just genuinely think that it's a possibility that they're not really burnout, that they're confusing burnout for boredom. The reason why I want to talk about this now is because there's a lot of content creators saying, you know, the game needs more stuff, you know, there's nothing to do, you know, players are dropping. And look guys, in this game is as popular as ever. This is the natural course of things. This always happens, and
it is something that always happens. But the reason why I started to kind of sound the alarms about Endwalker in particular is because, yes, we've always seen these cycles, but I'm seeing people fall off much sooner than ever before. We're talking a week after a major patch comes out. We should not be seeing this kind of fall off. It shouldn't feel like we've already hit a content drought and people already feel like there's not more stuff to progress on and more stuff to chase that soon. That's the main difference that I've seen with Endwalker. And yeah, I don't expect the game to keep you entertained every second of every hour of every day. That's crazy. It's not built for that. It never was. But I just feel like the kind of fall off we've seen, and it's reflected in this graph that he's showing, by the way, is more than we have seen in other expansions. That's why I've been very critical of this expansion in particular and not about the whole game. Because while I'm very happy with the game, I'm looking forward to the next expansion. I feel like Endwalker made a lot of mistakes in terms of player retention and giving players reasons to log back more often than just logging in for the patch. In fact, there was somebody who replied to one of my videos in a comment, and he said that for him, it's very difficult to pay the sub. And he was extremely happy that he got gifted a game time card. No, he didn't. He wasn't gifted it. Like, he managed to save enough money for it, for game time. He logged in for the patch, and in like a week, he was done with all the patch content, and he was really upset. He was like, well, crap, I was looking forward to playing this for so long, and now I feel like I've already run out of things to do, and I've just started.
Single fucking expansion, people are fucking flipping out about it. Like, oh no, the game's dying. I really hope they do things next expansion. Let me tell you this. If the next expansion is exactly like this expansion, it would still be a success. It would still be popular. People would still play it. So this game is not dying. It's not dead. It's not going anywhere, man.
It's not going anywhere. That's true. But if we're looking at the very graph that you have shown here, we don't have as many new players coming in. But actually, the Xbox thing and the free trial thing will fix that to a degree. That's going to bring in a lot of new players. But I don't think that the game is... Obviously, I don't think the game is dying. This is absolutely stupid argument. Like, this is so far detached from anything close to reality. Like, the servers are in zero danger of ever being shut down anytime ever. FF11 is still fucking going. In fact, they're still charging people a sub to play FF11. So, like, this is a non-starter, and it's kind of annoying, actually, because I feel like we're by focusing on this completely pointless question that is clearly not true at all. Like, this is not a problem. The game isn't dying. That we're maybe not focusing as much on the actual systems that could be improved. Endwalker. Yeah, it's not actually. I don't know.
At the end of the day, 14, it doesn't force you to log in. Now, granted, some of these players aren't going to come back, but it is extremely new player friendly. The amount of new players that join versus the players that quit because they don't have anything to do, dude, there's so many new players that play this game. They're going to come back, man. See this dip here? This dip.
New player friendly, bro. I know it's probably been a while since you installed the game. But it is not easy to install the game or to download the game.
Here is gonna,
and also, actually, I don't want to get on a whole tangent about this. I would not call it particularly new player friendly when you're asking a new player to play through 400 hours of content before they can join you, their friends in the high-end content. I think this is kind of nuts.
Go all the way back up here, next expansion. There's a lot of other content creators that are making videos about, you know, their problems with the game. You know, I've watched, you know, snippets here and there. I haven't really watched the whole video or anything because I was going to save it for React. But because there's so many videos of it, I'm like, well, fuck it, man. I can't watch them all. So I'm just going to make a video. And I put this fucking picture in the background just because.
Is he talking about me? Is he talking about me in my video? Will he watch my video? That would be cool. I think he might be talking about me in my video, but he's not saying my name.
Because everybody else had the picture. Here, you want to put another picture? Yo, let's put this one. Holy. At the end of an expansion for Final Fantasy, it is super ultra omega dead. Okay, and it happens all the time. And they always come back. There's nothing wrong with the game. The game is fine. Okay, now when I say there's nothing wrong with the game, I mean
That's
like, you know,
like
nothing bad has happened. Like all of this is natural. Now, are there things wrong with the game? Yes. I think we need...
Okay, he's like, wait a minute. Okay, never mind. There is things wrong with the game. Okay, yeah, never...
More like raid fights. I think we need more like, you know, mid-core content. That's what this game lacks is mid-core content, you know, but we're getting all of that in Dawn Trail. That's the thing that I can't understand why all these people are like, oh, I don't know, is Dawn Trail going to save the game? Dawn Trail is literally slated to have the most content that this game has ever seen. It has literally everything from every expansion. Everything.
So, a couple of things that he just talked about. Mid-core content. I made a separate video about that. The Dawn Trail being stacked and amazing. It's going to have a ton of mid-core stuff to do. I made a separate video about that. So... It is, I know he's busy, but I do feel like a lot of people have not watched my video that are then mad at me. I'm not saying Zeus is mad at me. I don't think that he is. But that's something to talk about in general. People have come at me and they're like, you never say anything positive about it. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I just made a really positive video about Dawn Trail and how I think it's like, it's got all the stuff. It's checking all my boxes right now.
Heaven's Ward and A Realm Reborn were a weird time. But Stormblood, it had ultimates and it had Eureka. What is Dawn Trail going to have? It's going to have ultimates and a Eureka type zone. What does Endwalker have? Ultimate and a Boja. Dawn Trail is going to have both of those. A Realm Reborn had Palace of the Dead. It's going to have a Palace of the Dead. What the fuck did Heaven's Ward have? Oh, DPS checks.
It's not going to have Palace of the Dead. Dawn Trail? They said there will be deep dungeon stuff, like updates to deep dungeon. It was really vague. It's not going to be a whole new deep dungeon, but there are going to be some new things they're adding to deep dungeon.
Well, they're probably not going to have DPS checks. People, they need to understand that Dawn Trail, if they deliver on this, is a different thing.
Yeah, new plans for deep dungeons.
But it is slated to have the most amount of content ever. Like, I don't know why people are saying Endwalker is so bad, man. Endwalker was fine, okay? It was fine. Was it the best? No.
It's just weird that, like, you're not looking at the graph that you're showing. Like, we haven't discussed the graph that's on screen. Really. I mean, look at it. Ignoring the last bar, okay? ignoring the last bar, if red is players who got an achievement within the time period, green is players who fell off and did not continue the fall off, and blue is new players. There's less new players and more fall off. This is what this graph actually shows you. Ignoring the last thing. The fall off is insane, especially right here and here. We've never seen fall off this much. If we're going to trust this graph, which I would kind of take this data with a grain of salt, there's probably going to be another census after 6.5 because, I mean, many people do hide their achievements. Remember, this data is looking at player achievements on Lodestone and scouring all of that. So maybe there's going to be a different, I think there will be a different census after the major patch comes out. But just if we're going to use this graph and talk about it, well, we should, right? Clearly something has happened in Endwalker that's different than what's happened in the other expansions. You can't deny that. There's something off here, and you can't say that there's no problems with Endwalker at all.
No,
now,
but it was fine.
Yes, overall, the trend, yeah, we're ignoring the last bar because they don't have enough data for this segment yet, so just forget about this huge green bar. Like, that doesn't make sense. But I still, again, still with this data, it still shows that the game is sloping upward. Like, there's still more active players over time. So no real cause for concern about the state of the game overall, but a little concern about Endwalker. So that's what I've been saying the whole time. The data supports it. And I know with Dawn Trail, we're going to see it go right back up again. That's...
2 ultimates. We had all the raid tiers. We had Criterion, but that's kind of a meme. The only thing we didn't have people are crying about is fucking Boja. And I agree. I think that it should be in there. But does that mean that it's the end of the that it's the worst expansion? No. The trials were good. The primals were good. Was it a bad expansion? No, not in my opinion. You've said it yourself. This is the worst expansion. Okay, you have to understand something, okay? This game is like a 10 out of 10. When I say that something is the worst, that doesn't mean that it's bad. I mean that it's the worst in comparison to other things.
That's literally what I have been saying. All right? That is literally and exactly what I have been saying in my videos every single time. Every time that I talk about. Like, when I say it's the worst, the one that I played, worse in comparison to the others that I've played. That's literally what that means. This is crazy. Like, if only he watched my video. I know. God. I know. Maybe he will. Maybe he will. Now, Exalted, actually, you did make a good point. You said what's off is the abnormal influx of players we got in Shadowbringers, which is going to cause an abnormal amount of players falling off in Endwalker. I do think that's something that should be part of the calculus and part of the way you read this information. But by the same token, the question is, did Endwalker do enough to retain players gained during Shadowbringers? And this is going to be your opinion based on how you feel about the content. My opinion is no, it didn't do enough to retain players. You might disagree. And do you know what? That's okay.
This expansion was one of the worst, in my opinion. But this expansion is still better than any other MMO that I've played. I'll put it that way. This shitty expansion is still better than any other MMO.
Wait, it's a shitty expansion now. Which is it, man? I feel like we're bouncing all around here today, Zeens. First, Endwalker, there's nothing wrong with it. It's fine. Oh, now it's a shitty expansion. Oh, it's the worst one I played, but just compared to all those, just say it's not very good compared to the other
that I've played. Just because I say things like, oh, the raids kind of sucked, that doesn't mean that it's the worst of its category. Too many people, they don't understand that when content creators like me, when we say these things, we're trying to help the game.
Yes,
that's the problem with you motherfuckers, man. It's either that or the content creator is not, I guess, clear about their intentions. Well, with me, you fuckers know that I'm fucking clear. It's you that misunderstand me because I fucking repeat myself all the fucking goddamn time because a bunch of idiots play this game, watch the stream, watch the YouTube. Why do you think that there's an emote called looping? You know what looping is? There's so many people that are just in the fucking comments and on Twitch that just thinks that everything has to be fucking positive 100% of the time.
Like, I relate to this so much. What are you saying? It's honestly been pretty exhausting as content creators trying to share our opinions about the state of the game right now. I really, really relate so much because you got to, I feel like you have to set up all these different little disclaimers to let everyone feel comfortable, because it's like, okay, now I'm going to say something and it's not going to be easy to hear. So take a seat, maybe put a little blankie on, get your favorite drink, and whenever you're ready, I'm going to share this news with you. And then after people have done that, then I say, now you know that I love Final Fantasy XIV so much, and I'm having fun right now, and we're going to play it today. But the thing that I really need to tell you is that I thought that this expansion, not the base one, but the patches, wasn't as good as the other ones. Yeah. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I know this is difficult for you to hear right now, but this one was a little bit worse. Please don't be mad at me. Please don't be upset. But I really just want you to know this is how I really feel. I'll hold your hand and whisper that. No, but Dawntrail's coming, and it's gonna be better, okay? It's gonna be okay. Please don't freak out. Please. No, I'm sorry, but this is really how I feel like I have to talk about it. It's so stupid. This is so crazy.
You are living in a fucking fantasy world, man, because that is not how things get better.
Crazy.
Like, the devs have literally said that they welcome feedback. They welcome criticism. They listen to their players. They want the players to tell them when they fuck up, okay?
Oh
How much more clear can they fucking be? You are the problem, okay? Not me, not the devs, you and your dumbass fucking mentality that whenever you criticize something, that means you hate the game. I'm not even looking at chat because, yeah, look at all this dumbass shit. Shut up, Xeno. Pepe W. Okay.
He's losing it. He is losing it.
I was going to react to a couple
losing
videos,
it.
but instead I just said, fuck it, I'm going to hop on the train and I'm going to fucking make mine. Here is my take. This shit happens every expansion, and every single expansion, people are fucking crazy about it. People are worried. They're just drama hungry. And you know why? You know why they're drama hungry? You know why?
Yes, there's fall off every expansion. Yes, there's content droughts every expansion. Yes, people get burnt out every expansion. But I also feel like sometimes people say this as a way to dismiss criticism about the current expansion. They say, oh, but we have people getting bored in every expansion. So how does that make Endwalker different than the other ones? If people got bored every time, then can you really say that the game is more boring now? See, like, it's kind of, it can be dismissive. Not all the time.
Do this every single expansion. It's
We
not because of
literally have less
burnout.
content.
It's because they're fucking bored. It's because they're fucking bored. They're bored. They're bored. That's why. Now, I will say this though. You could be burnt out from certain aspects of the game, I think, for sure. Let's say you're progging top. Woo! Let's say you're progging raid tier with a shitty static or something. Then yeah, I get it. But you're not burnt out from the game. You're burnt out from your situation, man. It's not the game that's making those players. Well, I mean, you know what? That's another conversation. A point here is that it's not the content itself, right? It's the situation that you're in. Because if you were to take that same player and put them in a group that is successful, then their entire mentality changes.
Counterpoint. I did get burnt out on top. And I wanted to do other stuff. I was like, because that's the beauty of an MMO. There are many different kinds of content to do. It's like a huge all-you-can-eat buffet. And maybe you've been tired of eating the same, mac and cheese for hours and hours and hours, days and weeks. Okay, you decide, I'm going to try something else. I'm going to have the mustard greens instead. But there's no mustard greens. Or there's like 2 little strips of mustard greens for you to grab out of there. And you're done eating it in 1 second. And you're like, well, damn, I really wanted to try something else. And you look around and you're walking around, you're like, well, maybe I will have a French fries. And there's 1 fry in there. So you pick up the 1 fry and you eat that. You're like, okay, well, that was good. But I'm still hungry. I really would like to eat here. It's my favorite place. But there's nothing left besides the mac and cheese, which if I eat any more of that, I'm gonna be sick. Because I'm like, that was how I felt with being tired of raiding. I wanted to do something else, but I couldn't find it. So I went to another restaurant called Genshin Impact for 6 months. Now I'm back. It seems that I'm just gonna go back to some of the old favorites. I'm gonna go back to eating some of that stuff I had before. The Palace of the Dead, the Eureka, oldies but goodies, classics. I'll just have those too. But as far as the new stuff,
there wouldn't be Burnout at all. Oh, look at this shit. Look at this shit. Burnout versus content boredom. It seems people seriously misunderstand half the posts made here recently in regards to the current state of the game. So simply as much as possible. Players are not burnt out from the game. They're bored from the game. Burnout exists when a game asks too much of you. Holy fuck, man. Did I write this post in my sleep?
That's what he just said.
And physically cannot handle playing the game any further without suffering lasting damage effects. Content boredom is the end result of the game not being engaging enough. The complete opposite end of the spectrum from Burnout. This is what people are complaining about. The motive to do anything in game is worn away because the content is neither engaging enough or lasts enough to keep you entertained. Holy shit, who the fuck wrote this post, boy? Sleepy OC.
It sounds like
telling people to go play other games is not the answer to content boredom. It is the answer to burnout. If people are content with the game as it is, they shouldn't feel the need to bash on other people that want more out of the game. Because at the end of the day, any and all new content added to the game is optional. It may not be content designed for you, but if you are content with the game, the extra content shouldn't be an issue for you, as no one is telling you to do it. The game needs more content or longer lasting meaningful content. There's no denying that the current state of the game is not fun for anyone who actually plays the game regularly. This is good. It's Sleepy OC.
One thing I would say about why, like, sometimes people say, oh, it's good that they don't keep adding a lot of content to do in Endwalker, because I don't want to feel like I need to do all this stuff. But, like, when I played Shadowlands, and it was, like, probably the worst that has ever been in an MMO, where, now I was playing kind of casual, where it was, like, the game constantly pressuring you to do all kinds of shit, and really putting you on this treadmill, and it was just like, oh my god, you gotta keep up, you gotta do it all, blah, blah, blah. When I got tired of that and I didn't want to do it anymore, I just stopped doing it. Like, the game doesn't need to have less content in it for you to take control of your life and walk away from that and not do it. Now, I'm not saying that that kind of stuff should be in the game, and because it never would. And Final Fantasy 14 grinds have always been optional. Always. And if you feel like it's too much, you can actually pace yourself, and you can actually go play other games at any time, whether there's a lot of content or whether there's not a lot of content. You do have some autonomy over your choices and how often you play a game, like, believe it or not.
CE also bald? This sounds like a bald person wrote it. That's what I'm talking about, man. I feel like the people confuse burnout with boredom. I really do. So this happens every expansion. After the last raid tier, there's a catch-up patch. For whatever reason. There's going to be a new trial, 24-man. The patch actually looks like a lot of fun, man, honestly. I'm definitely doing Thornton. I'm doing server up, 24-man with like Lamatod, Arthur's, Pyro. We're going to do the 24-man. It's going to be a lot of fun, man. Probably going to get some viewers in there too. It should be fun. If you're bored from the game, that's normal. Don't ever feel bad about being bored of Final Fantasy 14. You don't need to make this grand exit either. I'm quitting the game. I'm feeling the burnout. I'm quitting. I will be back. You know, yes, we know. You know what I do? I
don't know. I think that these videos are actually sometimes helpful. Whenever someone makes a I'm quitting post or a I'm burnout post, Because maybe through that you can get a glimpse at what it was exactly that caused those feelings. And that's when we start to go into where we really want to go with discussion about the game, which is discussing the fucking content and the systems. All right. It's not about you or me. It's not about who we are. It's not about our personalities or whatever, any of that shit. What matters is, was there something in the game that you thought was less engaging? I think that's valuable to hear. I think that is valuable to hear from someone. Even if they are trying to make a huge quitting post, who cares if it, like, maybe they're going to get the views. Maybe they're doing it for views. Still, if there's something in that video that has that valuable feedback in it, then it's worth seeing. It's worth hearing, I think.
Just go do other shit because I already know I'm coming back. Arthur's does the same thing because we know that we're going to play this game until the end of time. This game is the best fucking thing possible for us, okay? Because it's always going to be there. It's consistent. It's steady. And it gives us the option to go do other shit if we want to.
Yeah.
And we don't have to feel bad about it. There were a couple times when I couldn't log into Ion and I felt horrible. I was like, fuck, man, I'm going to fall behind. You know, you never get that. Okay, now the reason why, like, I wanted to talk about it today was because everybody else is talking about it. And you know what? The game's so fucking boring right now. Fuck it. I'm going to talk about it too. You know, I'm going to try to milk the content. That's how you know you're bored, when you're milking the fact that there's no content. So you have to make your own content. But real talk though, this game schedule, I love this game schedule. You know, I just wish there was a little more, not only for the, you know, for the 10% for the raiders, but also the mid-core. More importantly, the mid-core, you know, more like Savage Dungeons or whatever.
Bro, that's exactly what I've been saying this whole time, man. Everything you're saying, that's what I've been saying. That's literally what my videos have all been about. I made a whole series about this stuff.
More like trials, more like raid tiers, you know, more like raid fights, that kind of stuff. Because Savage is mid-core. Regardless if you want to believe if Savage is mid-core or not, doesn't matter. Savage is mid-core. It is meant to be pugged by pretty much anybody. Almost any.
What? That's what Mr. Happy said too on State of the Realm. I was like, what's mid-core content? And Happy was like, Savage. But listen, Mr. Happy and Zeems are very good players. They're extremely fucking good at the game. All right? And listen, y'all don't, I don't know if y'all know what it's like down in the trenches of Party Finder when you don't know what to do and nobody else knows what the fuck to do, man. It is a whole other world out there. And stuff that you think is easy is much, much, much harder. Yes. That's what I actually said in my video about casual, mid-core, and hardcore content. Is that if you're a high-end raider and you're used to doing ultimates and blazing through stuff, it can be hard to see what it's like as a newer player who just isn't able to read the game as effectively as you. Because a lot of these mechanics, you see them and you recognize immediately what it means. You see a tether and you know what the tether means. You see the eye with like something flashing on it and you know what that means. You see limit cut and you have an idea of what could happen. But a new player doesn't have, it's like learning a language where they don't know all the words yet. And so for them, it's a completely different experience for them. And that's why like the jump for them from a normal content, from a normal expert roulette into a savage is insane. It's an insane leap because the game doesn't teach you what all these mechanics fucking mean. They just expect you to play for long enough that slowly over the years you learn what all that stuff means. And I know it's just it's hard to see that perspective. That's all. I'll say it. We need mid-core, basically the idea of mid-core content, which I talked about a lot in my video about this, is to be that bridge, the bridge between normal dungeons and extremes or savage. The place in between where we can learn, where we can grow and have that like steady ramping up so players can feel more confident. Because people ask me all the time, how do I jump into savage and high-end content? I've never done anything like that before. And usually what I say is, oh, well, start with trial bosses and go with the first trial boss that was released in this expansion, or even the previous expansion, the oldest one, because the older ones are going to be easier to do. Maybe try some unsynced, and then slowly work your way up through the years to current day, because the current one is going to be the hardest one. And that, you know what that is? That is a manufactured midcore. That is a manufactured artificial ramping up of difficulty that I'm recommending people to do. That is not a natural way of playing the game. This is a creative way and a jank solution to try to give you that ramping up that doesn't exist currently.
Anybody can clear a Savage tier, and that's good. There needs to be more of that content, because that's the biggest chunk, I feel. The game is not dying. The game is not going to die. Dawn Trail is going to be just as successful as Endwalker or more. The game is still going to be good.
Yeah. All in all, I really do agree with almost everything he said. There's a few things here and there that I don't agree with. I do think that there's serious fall off we've seen in Endwalker, as evidenced even by the Scrap, that is more than I would want to see. I would have wanted to see more retention of players that we gained during Shadowbringers, and but that's just how everybody is going to interpret data however they want to. So a couple of things here and there I didn't completely agree with, but for, I would say 90% of his points I do agree on, and I think that he would too if he would watch my video.